welcome back to the Operation Common Sense podcast. I just want to remind you guys we're on every major platform. You can find us in a video format or audio only. So that means Spotify, YouTube, or whatever, iHeart, whatever platform you use, we will likely be there. We appreciate you guys tuning back in. And without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Matt. We got some conspiracy stuff today.
Today we are into conspiracy theories. One thing that I never, I didn't imagine that we'd ever get on this trail.
I mean, either. But this one is weird.
Yeah, this one, I mean,
need pieces to it.
I think there's probably a few, and we're probably going to do a few of these, to be honest with you folks, over the next couple episodes. But yeah, I mean, some of them are just, silly, right? And I was like, I don't really want to buy into that. But this one is actually, it's actually pretty interesting. So, first of all, little intro conversation here. How was your week? How's your week so far?
Good. Tired, just running the kids, living life.
Yeah.
Trying to be somebody,
Yeah.
Trying to be like you.
It was that.
Do what? Like you?
Oh, it'd be like me. No, I'm old.
Dude, what about you?
No, it's a good week. Not really much going on.
Got the family squared away. The dogs are good.
Dogs are good.
Duncan been biting anybody besides me when I come over?
You came over the other day. He did get you. He got my daughter's boyfriend in the privates the other night.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a mouthful.
You gave him treats for that?
Yeah, I was like, good boy. That's a good boy. Yeah.
So how'd the kid react? Did he stay cool?
Yeah, his eyes like got lit up,
Yeah.
and he just wasn't expecting it because it was the first time for him. But
Dang, you don't even have to get off the couch and whip anybody anymore. Just let the dog do it.
yeah, here's gonna be an interesting thing with the holidays coming up, right? Because last time, I don't know if I ever told you the story, but last year, my daughter had knee and hip surgery.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
My in-laws came up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want them to come. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want
It's kind of complicated.
Yeah, like I just don't need two extra people sitting around doing nothing, right? So, like, it's gonna be enough already.
Yeah.
And shit, I should say it in case you watch this thing.
We can edit that out.
No.
So anyway,
Let it fly. Oh, that's my daughter, and I was like, your call, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
do you want him here?
yeah. It's like I wanted to come.
Okay.
Fuck. So,
Tourette's, man.
I deal with that, and I literally like, hey, listen, Tara and like everybody was gone, but me and the in-laws.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I've got to run that in a store for like 5 minutes, right? I'm going to be right back. Hopefully nothing goes haywire in this 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, they can survive.
So I come back maybe 7-8 minutes later, and Duncan's out in his crate.
Not in his crate?
No, he was in his crate. He started out in the house.
Oh, so
When I left, he was in the house with the other two. Come back, he's in the crate. And I'm like, fuck, I mean, you can't watch the dog for 7 minutes? You know what I mean? It's going through my mind. So I let him out and I let him in. Not knowing what had happened over the last 7 minutes while I was gone, right? So apparently, he doesn't like my father-in-law. And he, the leather chairs I have in the TV room, he hurdled one of those leather chairs and tried to grab a hold of him. And he was able to get his arm away before Duncan grabbed a hold of him. I guess the mother-in-law started yelling at him, and it kind of shook him out of it and got him out of his crate. But yeah, he was going to eat him. Like maybe it's just like a one-off thing, right? So I got him in the house, and we're sitting there, and I'm sitting in said leather chair. Duncan's up next to me, right, in the chair. And he's like literally taking a nap. He's just got his head down my lap, and I'm petting him, and he's half sacked out. Follow-on walks by. All of a sudden, he gets up, and he lunges for him.
Just from walking through the room?
Just walking right by him. And you know how tight it is between the sofa and his chairs. Like, he had no way to get away.
Yeah.
Like, he was... And last minute, I grabbed Duncan by the scruff of his neck.
And yanked him back?
And yanked him back. And he looked at me, dude, his eyes were all crazy.
Really?
And, like, yeah, he was going to lay into him. He was going to bite. Like, now I've got a hold of him. And I tell Tara, I was like, go get his leash. Right? Now she's all pissed off that she has to get up and go get the leash. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, he ain't gonna bite me. So I get his leash, take him out to his crate, call the facility to send somebody to come pick him up and take him out there through the holidays because they were coming back in a couple days.
Oh, you just said take him over.
I was like, yeah, just go ahead and take him because, like, now if I was like, I don't feel comfortable being in his house with that dog. I'm trying to eat him. And I was like, oh, he's a nice dog. Listen, that's coming up in about 2 weeks. So I'm going to see maybe if a year has changed that. I'm not thinking that anything's going to change, but I'm hopeful.
Your father-in-law's probably like dreading seeing that dog.
So anyway, all right, listen. So that was last year. Let's see what this year brings. So we're talking conspiracy theories today. We picked one that I think has a lot of, I don't know, man. There's not a lot of answers to this one. So we are picking the Las Vegas shooter. As you know, that happened October 1st, 2017 at a country concert in Las Vegas. The base of that was the Mandalay Bay. So
Stephen Paddock was the guy's name.
Stephen Paddock, 58 people dead,
Yeah.
over 400 injured. What I didn't know, the interesting thing about that hotel, as I was telling you earlier, like the top, 4, 5, 6 floors, whatever, is actually a Four Seasons hotel. But it's all penthouses. So, didn't know that. What they tell you is that Stephen Paddock was a lone gunman, shooting from 2 different positions on the 32nd floor. Somehow this guy got 2 rooms overlooking the concert venue, outdoor concert,
which is roughly 600 yards away.
Yeah, I mean, it's
from the building.
it's a pretty good distance. Plus, he's 32, stories up, right? So he's got a perfect, overview of this venue. So what they have settled on is that this guy somehow brought up 40 guns into his hotel room, a bunch of ammo, and went crazy and busted out 2 of the windows and was shooting people from the 32nd floor. It's odd, right? Because the first thing to look at is, okay, what's going on in this guy's life that would cause him to do that, right? So let's start looking at Steve Paddock's life.
Yeah.
Couple of interesting things. One, his father was actually on America's Most Wanted. He escaped prison. He was a bank robber. How long was he on the run for?
It was actually right at a decade, so 10 years.
Yeah.
He was the top 10 FBI's most wanted for 10 years. He was one of the longest on there before they either find him dead or capture him.
Yeah.
And it was for bank robbery.
Yeah. Crazy.
Anyway.
Yeah, escaped prison, bank robber. Stephen Paddock, early on career, worked for the post office, which, shooting and working for the post office, I think there's definitely a correlation there. That's why they have the term going postal, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. Worked for the IRS, another shit organization.
While he was with them, one of his main jobs was to do investigations on arms dealers specifically. Which is going to tie into what you're about to say.
Yeah.
Because then he leaves the IRS and ends up at, weirdly enough, conflict of interest, starts doing arms dealing, right?
One of the other conspiracy theories here, and we'll get into that in a minute, but yeah, he went to go work for a defense contractor, and then he started buying up real estate and was owning apartment complexes. So Stephen Paddock, for all of his early career, turned out he was a multimillionaire. Was not known in the gun community, i.e. ranges, not an active shooter, even private ranges. He lived right there in Nevada. People didn't know who he was. He wasn't a big political guy. He was a big 2A guy, but not a political guy. Owned 2 airplanes. I guess the prior to the shooting he purchased, he went on like a gun buying spree, bought like 55 guns. Most of those were ARs, bump stocks. Started shooting more and more, but still not at a level to where I would think somebody like that would carry out this type of attack. And it took police 65 minutes to get to the 2 suites Paddock was in. So these were adjoining suites. Essentially, they had an adjoining door. So you have freedom of movement between 2 suites internally. The question is, okay, what was the motivation of a wealthy person to commit this type of crime? Like if you had a couple $1 million, you had income coming in, you had a couple airplanes, you were a gambler, but you weren't losing. You weren't in gambling debt.
Yeah.
You weren't like a guy that just gambled away his last dollars and he has nothing to do or no way to pay it back or whatever. Like, okay, so what's the motivation to go from, hey, I'm going to Vegas for a few days to gamble to now I'm going to do this, right? So one of the conspiracy theories, as Casey was hitting on, one of the first ones I heard was that one of the tail numbers that of the airplanes, the tail number on one of them was linked to a CIA gun running operation to Mexico, this town in Mexico. I can't remember the name of the town of it in Mexico, but in that the bagman, I think his name was, last name was Campos, I believe, was from the same city that Paddock was running guns to. So we're thinking that maybe there's a combination, some type of relationship there. The other side of that is that somebody put some rounds through the door at Campos later on when he came to the door. Maybe they weren't that good of friends. Maybe it wasn't Paddock doing the shooting. That was the one, that case is alluded to as far as running guns. I mean, we know the CIA ran guns to Mexico, right, for the cartels, and
we know that they ran drugs.
Yeah, they ran drugs. I mean, same thing they did down, the Contras, right? Yep. I mean, the agency has a experience doing that. So, outside the realm of possibility, no, but still, it lacks motivation. What's motivation to do the shooting, right? So, just because you ran guns for the CIA doesn't automatically spiral you out of control to, commit a mass shooting. So we lack motivation there, right? What's the motivation to do so? The next thing is political motivation. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at political motivation. Wasn't a big political type, was a supporter of 2A. Some radio folks have linked Paddock to Antifa, and they thought maybe they selected the concert venue, since it's country music, that it correlated to Trump supporters.
Okay.
So I think there could be something there, right? Because this is 2017. Trump's in office, first year in office, right?
Yeah.
Almost 2 at this point. We knew that there were a lot of Obama, standouts in the agency and DOJ and some other places. So, could this be something to target Trump supporters? That, hey, Trump supporters are going to go to a country music concert? Potentially. Like, I can believe that.
For Stephen to be the guy.
Still lacks motivation for Paddock. Like, I don't think there's anything here in any of these conspiracy theories, maybe except one, that brings any motivation. I don't think any of these really, to be honest with you, were going to bring any motivation for Paddock to do the shooting. Like, there's nothing here that links me as, hey, here's the trigger, right? That got him from A to B. ISIS, a lot of people said ISIS, at first, and I think actually ISIS took responsibility for the shooting publicly. ISIS at the time, so let me tell you how that works. ISIS at the time took responsibility for everything. They even took responsibility for a casino robbery in Beijing or somewhere over in the Far East. So what it is when they take responsibility for things, their recruiting dollars and their donor dollars go way up, right? Because you got to look at from what is their goal? What is ISIS's goal? ISIS's goal is to attack the United States in the United States, right?
Yeah.
Because Al-Qaeda holds that bar for 9/11. And for ISIS to be a real, terrorist organization, they have to be able to carry out attacks in the United States, right?
Yeah.
So, the Pulse nightclub, that guy, even though ISIS took responsibility, that guy was what we call an unaffiliated sympathizer. He was a lone wolf. He was no more ISIS than anyone else. He just, I think a lot of times people put that in the media just so folks remember him.
Yeah.
Some type of legacy. Mm-hmm. Because you won't remember his name, but you remember that it was an ISIS-inspired attack.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, whether he was or not, whether he was or not, he fed into that, and ISIS made a ton of money off that Pulse nightclub. So, doesn't surprise me that ISIS took responsibility for this. Now, ISIS, for me, it doesn't fit the MO for ISIS. ISIS typically likes the spectacular type events. Pulse nightclub was very similar to this, other than it was up close and personal, where a guy walking into a club was shooting people. Yeah. Wasn't shooting folks from 32 stories above the street, right? Yeah. I would expect ISIS to either, storm the place with guys on the ground, shooting up the venue, or ramming multiple vehicles, and running over people, something like that, right?
Theirs is awestruck. This was calculated.
Yeah,
this was
This was more of a precision attack, to where that's like causes as much damage in as much time as possible. Whatever that may look like.
It was very premeditated, because we lobbied the idea of what if it was, this dude just had a temporary insanity moment, but each gun weighing about 10 pounds. That's roughly 240 pounds per bag that you can fit a guns into, and you get them 32 stories up. Then all the ammunition, then stage the rooms. This was months, probably years in the making for whoever. It's a very tactically sound plan, which goes against, you know, the ISIS MO is always, bah, like in your face.
Yeah.
Huge explosion, mass, you know.
And here's the thing. If I was a bellboy at a hotel and somebody loaded 40 rifles on a luggage cart, I would hear the knocking and the clinking.
And go, oh, no.
And like, yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder what the hell this is.
Yeah.
Like the weight of the bags alone.
Yeah.
Would trigger something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus all the ammunition and everything. Like ammunition's expensive, you know? Or it's expensive, but it's also heavy. So that's another question. Like, why didn't that trigger anyone's? Yeah. Unless we go back to the whole, you know, gun running thing. His buddy from Mexico was the bellboy.
Yeah.
If he loaded up, he knew maybe he was on the end.
In there, yeah.
So it wasn't a surprise to him. So for me, ISIS doesn't fit the MO, but here's the caveat to that. Former Pentagon National Security Council member says there was ISIS-linked evidence in Paddock's room. What the evidence was, I don't know. No one else has reported that. Maybe you guys know. Maybe you have some other outlets or channels that maybe have talked more about that. We'd love to know. I haven't seen anything about it, but this guy, obviously not a nutcase, says there was ISIS-linked evidence in Paddock's room. So I don't know what that is. And here's the final that we're going to cover as far as conspiracy theory. Actually, we got two more. So these kind of go same hand in hand. Deep state, false flag, and multiple shooters. Here's an interesting thing on this. So there were 3 registered guests for that room. There's Paddock and 2 females. Okay. Females, as far as I know, they're unidentified. There was a lady and a man. They were together at the venue before the shooting, obviously, telling concert goers that they were going to die. My understanding, they were let out by security without identification, without identifying who they were. So that's interesting. So now we know there's 3 registered guests, 2 women and a male. You got a lady and a male prior to the shooting at the concert venue telling people that you guys are going to die.
Yeah.
Is it the same person? You know, who knows? Right? We don't know.
It's a strange coincidence.
But it is a strange coincidence, right?
That somebody would say that.
So Paddock apparently used a lot of bump stocks on his AR platforms. If you don't know what bump stocks are, I'm not overly familiar with them, but I guess they're like more of a novelty type of item. But they take the recoil of the weapon and use the recoil to chamber another round.
Yeah.
Right. But from my understanding, they jam quickly. They're not very efficient. Right. So when you look at the video, when you listen to the video, here's what stood out to me. You hear a lot of small arms fire, and there's rapid burst, right? And then there's a break. And then, you know, I would assume during this break that he's either moving to another window, reloading, whatever, right? Maybe it's just my ear, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing something bigger than small arms fire on those videos. From time to time, there's some big booms up there.
Yeah.
And this little ping, 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 you know, type of fire that's here. That's your typical M4 fire. That's small arms, 223, 5.56 round, whatever. But those guns don't jam. But you don't ever hear. I mean, he's popping off a ton of rounds. You don't ever hear that they end abruptly. You know what I mean? You could see where there's enough shots that go by where he's emptied up a magazine and he's reloading or changing out mags, but never like 10 rounds and then nothing, right? And there's also some heavy booms in there, which, you know, to me sounds like more of a, a belt fed, larger caliber
They
weapon.
were so continuous, it was beyond even a 30-round magazine.
Yeah, so that's a small arms fire that you're hearing. Yeah, that's the small arms fire that you're hearing. But in that, you'll hear some bigger booms. Not as rapid.
Yeah.
So maybe not a belt fed, because belt fed, you know,
super fast.
Yeah, rates of fire are pretty quick. But there's definitely something bigger in there. So that leads you to believe that, okay, one person isn't shooting 2 guns at one time. I guess they're saying he's going from room to room. He's got 2 windows busted out, 1 in each. And that he's going from room to room and he's shooting through these windows. It says Paddock is not an active shooter, right? He doesn't shoot a lot. 32 floors up, distances out to 600 yards, which is pretty much maxing the effective range of what an M4 would be. And when you start looking at, like, there's a link out there. It's called the Las Vegas shooting map or something like that, right? We saw it.
Yeah.
Somebody spent a lot of time, whoever that is, you spent a lot of time putting that thing together. And it's a pretty neat resource, because now you see on a map based on where people were shot. And some of these people were shot head, neck. Great. There's so many people out there and you're shooting. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. But when you're pushing 600 yards from an elevated platform, I don't know that somebody can do that isn't a decent shooter. You know, that's a pretty tall task.
2,000. I mean, you're getting close to half a mile away.
I mean,
some of the shots would have been roughly 2,000 feet. That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, you're 1,800 yards.
You're 300 feet in the air.
Yeah. That's a lot, right?
And then one other thing, I mean, and just to second on, you know, some of the like, impossibilities, if you want to call them that, is why would you bring 40 guns? Were you going to sell them? Maybe he was going to sell the guns and something went haywire. I don't know, but
40 guns seems like
overkill. And I don't want to like step over the human loss that was experienced here and pretend that, you know, it isn't important. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that. I mean, one of those guns could have done the same thing. Magazine.
Sure.
Why you had 40? Why you had 2 rooms? It just screams like 5 people to me. You know, that would be exhausting to put one down, find the other one, run to another room. I don't know. It's just weird. Or you just sit in one spot, change magazines. I don't know.
It'd be exhausting to load magazines for all those guns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
would take hours to get that thing set up.
And you think 40 guns, 3 mags per. So that's 40, 12. So you're talking about about somewhere around 4,000 rounds of ammo? Imagine what 4,000 rounds of ammo would weigh on top of the rifles to get them up to that room. So
we'll have to take the freaking service elevator, unless they did it piece by piece, but then you need just have 10 guys do it. You know, like one guy gets his own book bag and just meets you at the room.
And you watch the video I'm talking about, like some of that gunfire was overlapping. It's hard to believe that one shooter did this. 2, also hard to believe that Stephen Paddock had any motivation to do something like this, right? So there's a couple other things too I'm going to throw out there. You know, on top of all this, you've got the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, you know, 10 floors above at the Four Seasons.
During this,
Mohammed bin Salman is there when this is happening. So now you have his security detail that is now in a building with an active shooter, right? So what does that look like? There are reports of helicopters. People picked them up on flight tracker. No one knew who they were or where they came from, what they were there for. But there are helicopters there. Maybe that was, I guess they were exfil helicopters. Maybe they were trying to exfil him. And then, you know, you've got Paddock or whoever had the hallway rigged with cameras so he could see if somebody was coming down the hallways or not. So they had that kind of as a
barricaded in.
Yeah, I mean, as an early, you know, lookout.
Yeah.
You got cameras out there. I'm gonna go ahead and dismiss that. It seems like a lot for somebody who just made an emotional decision that, hey, this is what I want to do. There's a lot of planning that's going on.
So much planning. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like, it's very tactically sound.
And this is not like a split decision of, you know, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to go do this.
Yeah, I'm going to get my 6 rounds or 6 magazines that I own.
Yeah, but you're not going to bring 40 guns and 4,000 rounds of ammo and cameras and a specialty hammer to bust out the windows on a whim.
What kind of hammer? I mean, it just screams somebody new.
And here's the thing, like, okay, think about how thick those windows are. Like, if you're busting that window out, somebody above you, below you, by you, is going to hear that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not going to be quiet. Those windows are thick. Yeah, so think about, like, the effort that it goes to take to knock out 2 windows. So you got Mohammed bin Salman upstairs. Helicopters could have been there to exfil him. I don't know. Also, you gotta look at, okay, you know, he's here in the U.S. What does this security team look like? Who are they made up of? They could be USG people. You know, you got things going on in Saudi. I think right after this is when bin Salman went and kind of cleaned up his government corruption, where he locked all the corrupt folks up at the Ritz-Carlton or whatever over there in Saudi. They had to pay a bunch of money to get out and blah, blah. So that happened shortly after. Is there a Saudi angle to this? Doubtful. I think it just happened to be wrong place, wrong time. The question is, who was this security, right? And like I was telling Casey last time I was up in D.C., I was over by the Saudi embassy, waiting to go into another embassy. And they got plainclothes Secret Service patrolling those embassies. Because they came up and asked me, like, hey, who are you and what are you doing?
Yeah.
And they were just like you, right? So if they've got Secret Service protection around their embassies, what do they have for the Crown Prince being here in the U.S.? And why didn't those guys respond?
Yeah, that is interesting to me.
Could it be like, hey, that's not my fight? You had to hear it, right? You had to hear what was going on. So why didn't they respond? You know, was it USG personnel up there protecting? Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it probably wasn't a military unit. It could have been Secret Service. It could have been, I mean, it could have even been FBI, maybe. I don't know. But so you have that angle. This is what I think. This is what I'm going to go with. Okay. So out of all this is where I think I'm going to land on this one, and then we'll get Casey's take. I think Paddock had the rooms. These are rooms that were preset, pre-selected, because he knew the concert was there. And it could be that he just wanted to get a good view of the concert, or whatever the case may be. These two other women that he had with him, who knows who they are? Maybe you guys know. Maybe there's something been reported on that. So interested in hearing, if you do, kind of what the background is there. I think one of these women, somebody got to him. I think they talked.
She heard it.
And said that, hey, you know, he's got a room, blah, 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 overlooking this and that. My guess is that Paddock was, he was a victim of this as much as anyone else. I think that maybe he was killed immediately, and other people with other motivations, some motivation, did the shooting. Paddock was already dead, so he was going to take the scope. This was going to look like a murder-suicide at the end of the day. Because the one thing they said when the video cam of the initial, when they breached the door to where he was, an initial view of Paddock was that he was laying in a pool of fresh blood on top of a pool of dry blood. Right? So the blood colors were off. I don't know enough about blood to know if that's normal or not, but maybe he's been dead for a while.
Yeah.
Considering that, I don't think they selected the 32nd floor as their sweet spot of where to be. I think they selected it because of the time it would take Las Vegas PD to get up the Mandalay Bay and clear all those floors.
Yeah.
Would give them plenty of time to exfil. I think there were probably 2 or 3, 4 other people up there that killed Paddock, did the shooting, and then, you know, wrapped up and bailed out into the chaos and skated away. The motivation could be, you know, it could be a left wing to push gun control. It could be a left wing to push control of bump stocks, because not shortly after, they banned them. It could be somebody that just wanted to kill Trump supporters and figured that Trump supporters would go to a country music festival. So maybe that was a prime, you know, hunting location. I can't think of any right-wing reasons to do this other than to blame the left and under a false flag.
Yeah.
The Antifa thing could be a plant, right? That maybe, you know, he wasn't part of Antifa, but maybe there was the same with ISIS. There could have been ISIS stuff left, and it shows that, you know, some terrorist type of attack. I don't know. I think this was a pre-orchestrated type of event by folks other than Paddock, and Paddock had no clue or was none to the wiser what's going on. And I think that he was probably sitting up his room chilling, just got done gambling, got a knock on the door, and somebody swiped him.
Yeah.
Came in, set up everything, did the shooting, and they left the cameras and everything else, because you see them in the body cam footage out of hallways, and bailed in the chaos, because there had to be a ton of chaos.
Oh, yeah.
You know, concert weekend at Mandalay Bay in Vegas. And the funny thing is, after all the shooting was happening, like, there were 911 calls all over Vegas at different casinos, Bellagio and some other places, where they're reporting people running around with guns. Now, you know, people could imagine they hear gunshots, you know, thought they saw this, thought they saw that, but some folks they swear, hey, we saw guys running with guns. Now, that could have been private security, plainclothes, or whatever. It definitely seemed like an active event That's my take on this conspiracy theory. And, you know, listen, at the end of the day, we're never going to really know. So all we do is draw our own conclusions on what makes sense.
Based on common sense.
Yeah, just based on common sense. You know, my common sense theory is that, you know, Paddock was just he was a byproduct of this, right? He was a victim like anyone else.
I think you have a better grasp on it than me. I have like a lot of odd details that stand out to me, but in the end of it all, it seems way more likely that it was some kind of private organization that orchestrated it. They knew of him because of his dealings. I mean, the dude had real estate property that was generating income that was high above the standard for that area and that amount of rooms or livable space. So you have this property that's likely money's being funneled through it. When he receives that money, he goes to Vegas frequently because it's large sums. So he's breaking it down and laundering it over time. He becomes a friendly face in Vegas. They all know him, so they approve him to be able to sit at the big tables. And he's copying and pasting that, and somebody's like, we got an idea for gun control, you know, and I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how. I think like the good side of me thinks there's no way that there's an evil entity that sides with political people so much that they orchestrate these things, but maybe that's it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think Stephen Paddock, because of his dad's background, you know, the dude just came from odd beginnings, and then he lived this really odd kind of life. Sounds like he made some shady choices, like leaving the IRS for the same companies that he used to try to bust for tax stuff. Whatever, all that's weird. I think he just ended up making a really weird group of friends, saw a money slot. Because if you look at like his background, he's like this, it's like on paper, he's like this really formal, like investor and blah, blah, blah. And then he has this whole other side where he's professional gambler, pilot, owns 2 planes. You know, it's like, what? It's like he's living 2 lives almost.
Yeah.
And so it's like he had this dark circle he was running with, and they were like, we got the perfect guy to catch this.
Yeah, and he was unwitting, right?
Yeah. I think they said, hey man, this is going to be a different gun order. We need you to bring these things to the hotel. We're going to send you all the guys to help you move them out to the room. We got some guys coming in from Saudi, whoever, wherever. We're going to have them meet you in the room to do this deal. We're going to send you some girls. We're going to pay for the rooms. There'll be adjoining. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. Do your normal thing, except we're going to help you with this gun deal. Yeah. And they came to the door. They did that. And then they seized the opportunity, since all the weapons were already there, because he owned all those allegedly. And then, you know, they had carried out the action. For what reason? I still don't know. But like you said, based on the fact that his country, predominantly white, Trump's in office, guns are a hot topic then. They're still a hot topic now. The bump stock thing it increases the amount of rounds you can fire in a certain amount of time. But it's crazy to think, but maybe there was some kind of private funded deal happening just to orchestrate gun control. I don't know. But it's the only thing that really makes a whole lot of sense based on the people that were being shot at, you know? So, I mean, if it was anything else, it would be an obvious hate crime or an obvious religious crime or an obvious political crime. But this one was super obscure.
Yeah.
And he was like them. I mean, front facing, he looked like them. You know, he's a white Christian guy, like on paper, you know? Why would he do that? That doesn't make sense that he would do that. And then obviously, so when he offed himself, he deleted the part of like any glory or anything to have into a religious ties or whatever. That got wiped off the map. So, but the fact that it's so elusive, there had to be more at play, you know? So whatever, that's my 2 cents.
I think you're pretty well on. And listen, guys, if you don't think that your government would be involved in false flag operations here in the U.S., I want you guys to look up Operation Northwood. That's what I was just searching on my phone. I couldn't remember what if it was Northwood or
Northwood.
Yeah, Northwood. Essentially, what it was a false flag operation where they actually got approval up through the DOD and all the way up to the president to bomb Miami.
What,
right?
During the cocaine days?
During the whole Bay of Pigs, Cuba, right?
Yeah.
So they were going to bomb Northwood, I believe, is a area of Miami where a lot of Cuban refugees lived.
Yeah.
They were going to bomb that and blame it on the Cubans, use that to go to war with Russia. And it got approval, right? So look at Operation Northwood. Look at it. I haven't looked at it in a while. So I may have the details a little off, but I guess that's about the sum of it right there. So, in all theory, that hasn't been that long ago.
Yeah, and then there's like we mentioned Barry Seal.
Yeah, Barry Seal.
They literally were having the CIA government funded planes going to and from South American countries to bring massive, copious amounts of drugs and money back to our own country, and then we had the war on drugs.
Yeah, it was during the war on drugs.
Yeah,
'Cause
but
if
like,
we get-
that doesn't. I mean, if that doesn't tell the listeners, like, they are not always out for your good.
Yeah, they were,
Sure,
it was
some of
the
them are.
whole, Iranian-Contra affair, which, my understanding of that, obviously, that was way, before my time. My understanding the Contras were fighting the Sandistas, if I remember correctly, and we were back in the Contras. We were using the drug money to fund that war, and I think we're using Iran to fund it as well. Somehow there was some Iran ties. Ollie North. I remember watching the hearings as a kid, though, of the Iran-Contra affair, when they brought Ollie North in front of the Senate or the Senate committee hearing or whatever. But Reagan was, obviously in on it. George W. or George H. was in on it because he was the vice president at the time. Yeah, so listen, your government's in all kinds of things, and they still are. I can guarantee you that. This is an interesting one for me because there's so many different narratives to this, and there's so many different outlets. I don't know which one we're going to do next. If you guys have any suggestions, feel free to shoot them out. I know we have like the moon landing is a big one. I like to spend maybe 20 minutes or so on Bin Laden, if he's really dead. Well, I mean, listen, we have a relationship with Saudi. He's Saudi. His parents, the Bin Laden group is still active in Saudi, right? And sometimes these countries like to have their own. And, is it outside the realm of possibility that, yes, we captured Bin Laden, but the Saudis wanted him? We gave him to the Saudis?
I don't want to say that coldly to diminish any, like, military operations that happened or speak on something I'm not sure of, but I can speak on the fact that I do believe that our government uses nefarious means to move the needle in whichever direction they need it to go. We couldn't let Russia beat us to the moon, so we filmed it.
There's a lot of topic of conversation on who actually shot Bin Laden.
Yeah.
Right? And you would think, in my mind, if you were there, you would know. It would be no doubt who shot him. Right? Unless no one shot him.
There's a lot of interviews with the guy that shot him. I don't know the guy.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of folks that say, no, he wasn't.
Yeah, that's one of those where it's like...
He wasn't the guy that shot him.
Really?
Yeah. There's an ongoing debate there. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that... listen, I hope he got shot in the face. And I hope he got thrown in the ocean. Yeah. Right? But, we have to look at the other side because, like, these are things that we would never know. I mean, how long has it taken to get JFK files? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anybody's actually gone through the JFK files to actually figure out who was behind his shooting. But, like, it's been, how long? 50 years?
Yeah.
So, in 50 years, we're all going to be dead. Right? We're not going to, well, maybe not. You're young. I will.
They're going to try to erase that for sure.
But, it's just one of those things. Like, it wouldn't be the first time that somebody USG says they've killed, pops back up, and is alive. And I know that some of these countries, the influence of the Saudi group or the Bin Laden group in Saudi, it would be a rightful request to say, hey, we want them. We prosecute our own.
Yeah.
And U.S. government would probably say yes to that, especially Obama. Because, they were oil-driven. We talked about the Raven 23 guys in Blackwater, with the Nizar Square shooting. That was all oil-driven by Exxon.
Yeah.
So, we know they're corruptible.
Oh, yeah.
So is it...
even if they don't know they're being... I feel like that happens a lot.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of times they actually know, they just don't give a shit.
That's what I hope is not true, but...
I mean,
it is.
I'll tell you, when Raven 23 happened, President Malik called Hillary Clinton and said it would be a shame if Exxon lost all the oil contracts over here. And that was after the guys were exonerated from the shooting. They were retried and found guilty. So, you know, the whole other story there, that's a longer story.
Yeah.
That's it, guys. Listen, a little bit different today. You know, maybe you guys like conspiracy theory stuff. I'm kind of so on it. You know, it's like going down a rabbit hole. You can go down that rabbit hole and still come out and not know.
Yeah, you just want more details that.
Yeah, it's just, you know, but it's definitely interesting. If there's something you guys like us to look into and kind of go from there, please let us know. Interaction has been great. We really appreciate y'all. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. As you know, we're pretty quick to respond on our social media. Give us some ideas. Let us know what you're thinking. Tell us where we're wrong. Tell us where we're right. And till next time, I appreciate y'all.
See you guys.
Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. All major platforms. In case you forgot that, that's his job. That's why I pointed at him. But he fucking failed.
I was gonna say it, but you wouldn't shut up.